Well, I'll have to give Keelan some money after his eligibility is over for saying that. But, that's the whole driving force to me being a coach. I mean, I want to help these men grow into good husbands, good fathers, good citizens, good patriots of this country. That is first and foremost. I do believe that if we go through the process of trying to get that done, the effect of that will be we're going to build a good football team. If you build a good man or a bunch of good men, you got a good chance of having a good team. If we all can agree that honesty is important, if we all can agree that integrity is important, if we can agree that loyalty is important, if we can agree hard work is important, those are the characteristics that create a great team, and those are the characteristics that build a guy's potential, helps him fulfill his potential. So that's what we're trying to get done.
Coach, can you talk about Oklahoma State and the problems that they present?
Well, very few teams in the nation could have 200 yards rushing, 200 yards passing on average. Most defensive coaches' philosophy is to find what they like to do best and make them do something else. If a team's a great running team, let's make them throw. They're a great passing team, let's make them run. Make them do something they don't want to do. With this offensive football team, you just can't hardly find something that they don't do well. So now you just got to try to keep them off balance the best you can. You got to tackle good. You got to play hard. You got to make a play. You got to do something, hopefully to set the tone and maybe help create a little bit of doubt in their minds, because they are a very confident football team right now.
Coach, I've heard that and read that this offense that you have possibly is got the most raw talent of any offense that you've ever had. It's just a point of putting it together. Can you respond to that?
I don't know who's saying that. Where'd that come from? Yeah, all it takes is someone to say it. But anyway, we're pretty talented, but we are raw. You got a second-year quarterback. We're probably going to start a true freshman left tackle. If we started today, we'd start a redshirt freshman left guard. Have a brand-new junior college right guard. Got pretty stout backfield. Receivers are talented, but got a lot to prove. In tight end, we have the most question marks at tight end since I've been at Georgia. But again, when you say talent, yeah, I think the talent level is strong. I don't know if it's any better. To me, talent that hasn't done it yet, it doesn't mean a hill of beans. I know Matthew Stafford's very talented. I know he's got great ability. I think he'll play in the NFL. But how many championships is he going to win at Georgia? I don't know. The two quarterbacks previous to him have won championships. He's not. So we'll see if we're good enough to do that.
Coach, how much of a chess match is it in the off season, say, looking at film, say, with Florida or any of your opponents last year, preparing for them again this year, among the coaching staff, how much of a chess match is it?
Well, I think most coaches are going to spend most of their time on their first two opponents. Like, for us, example, with Oklahoma State, we're pretty sure what we're going to get on offense from them. We're not very sure at all what we're going to get on defense from them because they got a new defensive coordinator. He was a coordinator at Bowling Green, and he was a DB's coach at Ohio State the last couple places he's been. So now we got to try to figure out what's this guy going to do. Then he's got a whole new different batch of talent at Oklahoma State. He's got to decide what they can do. So we really have no idea what's going to happen. Usually by game 3, you've seen at least 2 full games, and you have a pretty good idea of what you're dealing with. Then you're dealing with, when you play teams over and over, Florida, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, always playing them, Auburn for us. You're going to have to look at last year. You're going to look at the year before and the year before that, because after you play the same team over and over, if there's not a lot of turnover in their staff, there's a good chance they're going to be looking at that film too. So it's a big chess match. Right now, the biggest unknown is what Oklahoma State's going to do on defense for us. It's not as a coach, you just hate the unknown, you know, that fear of the unknown.
Talk about the change in the kickoff rule. How's that going to impact the game?
I think that it's going to impact it quite a bit offensively. Well, let's look at last year. Every rule that was changed basically benefited the defense. You shorten the game, you shorten the number of plays, less points, more defense, so to speak. You know, this year they gave all the time back, so now the offense benefited from last year to this year. Plus, you stick the ball back 5 more yards, and you'd say, well, maybe the field position will be 5 yards better. It's probably going to be 10 or 15 yards better. It used to be on the kick, on the opening toss, you probably would defer. I would be less likely to defer right now because you can create momentum if you knock it in the end zone. They start at the 20, you get a stop and get the ball on the 40-yard line, you know. Now, you know, they might get the ball on the 30, 35, 1 first down. They're pooch punting you, you know. So I think more coaches would be more apt to not defer also. I'll say this too. We felt like about 25% of the kicks that were kicked off to us, we returned only about 25%. Now my guess is it'll be 75 to 90% of the kicks will be returned.
So you see a lot of different variety of kickoffs, like kicking sky kicks.
Yes, sir.
Kicking it.
There's no doubt. Our John Fabris handles our kickoff team. You know, Dan, you know the deal. Everybody's like, well, why don't you kick it? Why don't you kick it out of the end zone? Why don't you, you know, why? You know, his philosophy has always been directional kick, get air under it, let your team cover, let's go tackle. So that's what we've been doing forever. I've been having to defend that, quite frankly, because people are like, well, why don't you knock it out of the end zone? So I think everybody's going to have to be more inclined to do that, and I'm just glad we've got a lot of experience at it. And our coach who handles that team already believes in that, so I think it's going to be good for us.
Mark, does it make you employ more first-teamers on special teams, perhaps, or are you going to think about it or not necessarily?
Well, you want to. I mean, yeah, we want to get as many good players on there as you can. We want almost every – we think every one of our starters on offense and defense ought to be a starter on at least one special team. So I don't know if that'll change for us, but the importance of those teams are going to be magnified at least 3 times of what it used to be. So you better get your best players out there.
The competition in the East has gotten a little bit stiffer.
I think so.
With recruiting. The SEC as a whole in the West, do you find that you have a reputation for a very clean program? Have you found that recruiting is getting more difficult?
Well, at first you say clean and then you say difficult. We do feel like we're running a very clean program, and I think recruiting overall is very clean. Is it becoming more difficult? Absolutely. You know, more people are doing a better job, in my opinion, of recruiting. I think some people may not want to admit it, but I think there is some value to what goes on with these internet sites, these recruiting websites, because these kids get interviewed the moment they leave, and most times interviewed while they're at a place. And those kids are pretty much going to say what happened. And I'm glad. Because if anybody even thought about doing something sideways, some kid's going to say what happened. You know, so, and you can't believe everything you read, but a good percentage of that is true. And so I think recruiting is cleaner because of that. There's a greater accountability because there's hardly, I mean, it's an open book. These kids are wide open. They're going to say exactly what went on.